so that you all can hear me. Okay, I'll start with early education. And then I'll start with some current challenges that we are facing in our early childhood education before we go about I share with you our proposed alternative. Okay? So some background. The development of young children often determines the social emotional skills that they pick up, and then this in turn really impacts their relationship with people, and then therefore their coping mechanism and learning abilities. So therefore it's crucial that we pay greater attention to early childhood education and provide Singaporean children the maximum opportunities to develop to the best possible manner. Currently, the main providers of early preschool education are private play schools, childcare centres, kindergartens, as well as the parents themselves. We all know that not all play schools are created equal. Unfortunately, many of the better kindergartens that provide education through creative play and innovative teaching methods are very expensive. And these are really beyond the reach of many families in Singapore. The consequence is that there is stark difference in cognitive and social-emotional development, as well as in linguistic and motor abilities between young children under the various social classes. Furthermore, English is the main language of instruction in schools. Unfortunately, English is often the second language for children from low-income backgrounds. So not only do these students struggle with English, they also have to deal with mathematics, which requires a significant proficiency in the English language, even at primary 1 level. So if a child starts off poorly in early education and is already behind her peers when she reaches primary 1, she will find it hard to catch up in a system such as Singapore, which is designed to sieve out the strong students from the poor ones at a very young age. In other words, how well a child is prepared before he or she enters primary school is a key factor in determining how well he or she will ultimately achieve in school. And children from low-income families are often labelled as problem students. They are not interested in academic studies and cannot be taught. So they are ultimately consigned to slow learners, placed in weaker streams, and that increases the barriers to tertiary education, and almost ensures that they end up in lower-paying jobs. So when they have children of their own, the whole cycle repeats itself and perpetuates the underclass in Singapore. So the focus in preschool education must be in providing a stimulating environment that will arouse children into exploring the world around them and not engage in pre-academic learning. In this sense, programs must be able to cater to each individual child, rather than employ standard curriculum that ensure the children fit in and conform. So there should not be labels to identify and sort out young learners. Another objective of preschools is building self-confidence and encouraging self-expression in children. Children in more privileged classes are more likely to be exposed to enriched environments. They are more likely to have greater access to books, computers, and other learning materials, as well as enjoy more stimulating recreational facilities. Unfortunately, primary schools expect a high standard of literacy and numeracy skills in their students during the first year of school. I'm sure some parents among us will remember how the school teachers will call up the parents and tell them, I think your child needs tuition, she's behind her peers in school, in the first week of school. Hence, emphasis in many preschools is on reading and writing skills to cater to the demand of parents who are worried about their children's ability to cope in primary 1. So as mentioned, parents play a primary role in early childhood development. The child's development and early education should not be completely left in the hands of schools and kindergartens. Parents are still the main providers of their children's early education. However, many parents are busy trying to make ends meet, do not have the time to spend with their children. Parents are also left trying to figure out for themselves what skills they need to acquire to facilitate the optimal social and psychological development of the children. A child's development starts at birth, not when she enters school. So a mother with less than ideal nutritional status will more likely give birth to a baby of low birth weight. Hence, nutrition and health affects the brain development and learning abilities of the child. Unfortunately, nutrition and health are closely associated with socio-economic status. Children's education cannot be tackled in isolation by simply tweaking the curriculum here and there. More could be done to address the nutrition and health issues for children from low-income families. So what do we propose? Okay, in order that early childhood education provides a balance of social, emotional, and physical development for our young, the SDP's education program will introduce preschool centers run by MOE. These schools will be accessible to all children, especially those who cannot afford the more expensive preschool classes. We are not talking about the public kindergartens run by MOE currently, that has very low take-up rates. We need to nationalize preschool education. These preschools will be run by highly trained professionals with facilities and programs to encourage exploration, creativity, personal learning, and physical development. The emphasis of the programs will not be on academic grades. Class sizes will be kept small to optimize interaction between children and educators. By the time a child finishes his preschool, he or she should be confident, self-confident, inquisitive, have good social skills, and develop a liking for school. Raising the minimum qualifications does not necessarily mean better preschool teachers. Early childhood education is an important field which requires trained and accredited professionals. At the minimum, early childhood educators should be trained in the National Institute of Education with degree holders having extensive education and training in the field. The SDP program will require strict quality assurance and accreditation guidelines for private preschool centers. Such a framework will allow preschool providers to benchmark their education outcomes and standards through a combination of self-appraisal and external assessment. Preschool providers that meet specified standards may then apply to receive accreditation status. These private-run centers can operate in parallel to the MOE-run preschools. In addition, early childhood educators will be trained to collaborate with educationists and researchers to provide information on how to continuously shape classroom practices to achieve the desired results, and design assessments that aim at improving children's development, not for straining. It is crucial that young parents of preschool-age children are equipped with information and training on how best to provide a home environment that will enhance the development of their child. The SDP's plan will include courses run by the early education centers to educate parents on the importance of their involvement in the holistic development of their children. These courses will equip them with the skills to identify potential learning problems and how to tackle them. In addition, the schools and centers will help parents to network among themselves and support each other through regular parent meetings and programs. Such groups will be encouraged to discuss existing education policies and methods so that feedback can be provided to the MOE for evaluation and consideration. Then we don't really need a national conversation anymore. The MOE will also organize annual conferences for parents on the issue of public education. The SDP proposes the establishment of the National Center for Maternal and Child Health, staffed with psychologists, social workers, maternal care specialists to help new parents provide their newborns with the necessary environment to facilitate optimal development. The center will also look into helping dysfunctional families and vulnerable children with early intervention. Job placement programs for unemployed parents who are expecting a baby must be given urgent attention. Without support, the physical, mental, and social well-being of children from low-income families are threatened and they will not perform on par when they enter the school system. The introduction of minimum wage legislation, as well as retrenchment insurance policy proposed by the SDP, will go a long way to remedy the disadvantages that low-income families face. The fundamental solutions are to reduce income inequality, give the poor a decent income, make healthcare affordable, and provide good early childhood education for needy families. All these measures will be presented in greater detail in our forthcoming policy paper on the economy. Next, we turn our attention to the special needs education. In 2003, the government passed the Compulsory Education Act requiring children born after 1st January 1996 to be enrolled in primary school. The Act, however, does not extend to children with disabilities. Special education in Singapore is still spearheaded by voluntary welfare organizations administered through the National Council of Social Services. These organizations often work under tight budget constraints. Given their status, they have difficulty in attracting qualified teachers that mainstream schools do. Given that it is not compulsory for special needs students to attend schools, these children's education are left entirely to their parents who are often unable to afford to send them to special schools. Also, the fact that many children in this category are held by VWOs indicate the government's unwillingness to provide equitable education for such students. In 2005, MOE introduced a Training for Special Needs program, which requires at least 10% of teachers in general education schools in Singapore to undergo training for special education. Several regular schools now take in special needs students. In addition, MOE deployed allied educators for learning and behavioral support dedicated to helping students in class with mild special education needs such as dyslexia, autism, and ADHD. Despite these measures taken by the government, many special needs children continue to find themselves marginalized in the education system. In a mainstream school, teachers find it difficult to cope with such students. They highlight the large class is a problem when there are special needs students to take care of. Teachers are already overburdened with classes of 40 students, even without special needs pupils. And students with disabilities need added attention and resources which with their overstretched workload make it difficult for teachers to cope. So what is the alternative? Under SDP's education policy, the government will undertake the important role of providing education for students with special education needs. If education of our students without disability is important enough that the state does not outsource it to VWOs, why should education for students with special needs be any different? A report by a committee reviewing special education in Singapore supports the ground notion that education of children with special needs should not be viewed as a charity, and that the government should take more direct ownership instead of the social service sector through NCSS. So the SDP proposes the establishment of the Council for Special Education that will be mandated to review and revamp the sector to lead in integrating the various services that provide education for special needs students. Members of the Council for Special Education will comprise senior personnel and other experts from the MOE and Ministry of Health. The current role of VWOs will be gradually phased out, and qualified experts, teachers, and therapists in these organizations will be co-opted into the mainstream education system. Only children with severe special education needs should be supported by state-funded specialized schools instead of regular schools. The SDP plan will also include amending the Compulsory Education Act that will mandate children with special education needs to enroll in schools and kindergartens. This will ensure that children with special education needs will not be neglected and they will receive the necessary support for their development. If education for special needs children is mandatory, the government will also have to ensure that funding for special education is adequate. There is presently a lack of consistency and agreed upon standards in the various special education programs provided by the VWOs and regular schools. The lack of a proper standard of special education program and adequate training for teachers can be resolved if the Council for Special Education is tasked with integrating special needs education with mainstream education. The streamlining of special education needs instead of the current many helping hands approach will ensure that the adequacy of the training for special needs, the quality of instruction in the classroom, the level of expertise, the identification and assessment of children with disabilities are all upgraded to meet international standards. In centralizing the special education program, educators and teachers must be included in the review and planning. Issues regarding allocation of funds and school resources, policies regarding assessment and admissions, curriculum planning, grouping of disability types in a class, training and development of teachers and other care professionals should all be decided in consultation with teaching staff, both general and special education. The SDP will also reduce class size from the current teacher-student ratio of 1 to 40 to 1 to 20. This will allow teachers to concentrate on the development of their students, including children with special education in their midst. This will be discussed in further detail later on by Sachin. General education teachers must work in collaboration with special education teachers and parents in a constant effort to tailor programs and assess the progress of students with special education needs. Each school will have an administrative unit that will coordinate this effort to facilitate communication on a frequent and regular basis. Both teachers and parents must be educated to appreciate the necessity of such collaboration and the integration of special education needs children into mainstream schools. In addition, MOE must coordinate efforts for research institutions to collaborate and communicate with teachers and parents of pupils with special education needs to yield information useful to special education practices in Singapore. Such evidence-based approach will help to refine policy making to better support the effort to include special needs children in our mainstream education system. I will now hand over the mic to Siok Jin, who will discuss the primary and secondary school education section of the SDP proposal.